eliminated, humiliated. MJ went through that, LeBron went through that. All those things is part of being great.
You cannot keep me down. Flex on him, Giannis.
We are built for this. The job is not done.
You cannot keep me
That's fair.
They've been awfully good. Giannis, Chris Middleton, 61 points the other night. The Bucks a 3-2 lead in the NBA Finals. Cassidy's here. RJ is in Milwaukee. And Cass, you were the one standing right here last week who sort of first put in our heads this thought that Giannis needs to play more like Shaq than he does like Kobe, and he has done that, and he's won 3 straight games doing it. The other comparison that gets made a lot on this show is this whole Batman, which one is Batman and which one is Robin thing. Do you have a take on that?
I don't. Shout out Perk. I think he's kind of handled that.
Yeah, Perk. Yeah, Perk.
Ad nauseum.
Yeah.
I do have another comparison. And I want to preface this, guys, by saying Giannis is not Michael Jordan.
Right.
Okay? Get that in your heads. Put it all on your Twitter. Please include that if you clip off this conversation. But I do want people to start viewing Chris Middleton as Scottie Pippen. And why I say that is I want them to see him as a Pippen-like player, someone you can rely on, someone who can step up in the moment, someone who has earned his own superstardom, or stardom rather, next to a superstar. And look, I see you pursing your lips. You can argue that he had a slow start to this series, but just like the Bucks, he's gotten better. And this may be a stretch, but when I saw this image that the Bucks posted after Game 4, it gave me flu game vibes. Not exactly the game itself, but the relationship between Giannis and Chris Middleton. They have a special relationship, and what we're seeing in these finals, they need each other in order to win. And that's why I say we need to start viewing him as a Pippen, as a star in his own right, and someone who has stepped up on this stage.
RJ, what do you think?
No, well, I have to preface something also. Last year after they lost to the Miami Heat, I said, look, Giannis might be a Pippen, and people went nuts.
Oh, you did?
So I understand. I did. I said that. But hear me out. They understood when I said that is that he needed help. And Chris Middleton has continued to get better every single year. So Chris Middleton has turned himself into the quote-unquote Pippen to his Jordan. I thought, Giannis, because he can't shoot free throws, he can't make jumpers, he can't really, when you look at the way his skill set is, he needed a closer like the Shaq. He needed to go find his Kobe. And so I just felt like he needed a little bit more help, and they went and got it. Drew Holiday was that final piece. It was another ball handler, another high-level defender. So I think really when you combine the Drew Holiday and you combine the Chris Middleton, now you have that player that should be next to someone as great as Giannis that allows them to close out the games in areas that Giannis can't. He can't make the big three. He can't hit those little pull-up shots, and he can't always do the defensive plays because he can't be everywhere at once. So you have to kind of combine two players, and I think Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton have been those guys.
Oh, believe me, I remember when you said that he might be Pippen and what it did to the Get Up Twitter handle. I remember that vividly. But here's the point. That Giannis, and we talked about this at the beginning of this hour, he just does it differently. You look at the best players in the NBA today. They all do it with the ball in their hands, and thus they don't need someone to do the things that he needs them to. It isn't diminishing him. He's just a different style of player. But he right now is as effective as anybody, and if he wins this championship and is the Finals MVP, RJ, if you want to say that right now Giannis is the best player in the league, it would be easy to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy to defend, but again, we can't keep doing, Kevin Durant was a half a toenail away from sending Giannis home, and everyone was saying that Giannis was the greatest or that Kevin Durant was the best player on the planet. Now, because his shoe size is too big, Giannis goes on and wins the championship, and now it's Giannis. We gotta have we can't keep going back and forth every couple weeks about who the greatest player is, but technically we can.
Yes,
yeah, that's exactly what we can't do.
Yes.
I mean, but RJ, that's what the playoffs are all about, the what ifs. So, I mean, like,
Yeah,
we've
the what
always
ifs are the
seen
most fun.
injuries. Yes, the what ifs are fun. That's exactly right.
Well, I mean, look, I've made a career for 30 years out of changing my mind every few weeks, so don't knock it. It has worked for me. But it does seem reasonable, right? Again, Giannis, he can't do some of the things that Kevin Durant can do, or that Luka Doncic can do, or that a lot of other players that we talk about, that LeBron James can do. But they can't do all the stuff that he does either, and he is about to win. Well, he's one win away, Cass, from winning a championship.
Absolutely. And, I mean, you can go into the conversation of discrediting whatever kind of style, if it fits this type of style of basketball we're seeing. You were mentioning earlier the article you read about just how he's bringing the old game into the new.
Yeah.
And I just think Giannis, what we're seeing right now is chemistry. To your point, RJ, of that big three. On this play alone, I mean, Drew Holiday didn't want to make that pass, but Giannis was calling for it all the way in the backcourt. And he said after the game that, like, it probably wasn't the smart basketball play, but he went up to Drew after the game and thanked them. And so what can we expect from Drew Holiday in Game 6? He said he called his shooting in Game 5 an added bonus, but what he has given consistently is pressure on defense against that backcourt and distributing the ball like that pinpoint pass. I mean, that was a perfect pass to Giannis there, and you're really seeing those three, their chemistry come alive in these finals, and it could be the difference.
Politics could be history made in Milwaukee. The finals, the Bucks looking to win their first championship since 1971. Suns trying to force a Game 7. It's 9 Eastern on ABC and ESPN Deportes. Our coverage will tip with NBA Countdown at 8:30. As we go, but staying in the state of Wisconsin, that is where Game 6 of the NBA Finals will be played tomorrow night, with Giannis and the Bucks looking to close out the Suns after Phoenix took the first 2 games of the series. Milwaukee now back in it, taking Game 3, led by Giannis with 41 points. And then in Game 4, Giannis doing it with the defense. The legendary block on DeAndre Ayton, the play where he stopped the alley and the oop. That tied things up. And then the first road victory of the series on Saturday night. Drew Holiday, the steal. There's the alley. There's Giannis throwing down the oop. And it is the Milwaukee Bucks who took the 3-2 lead back home to Milwaukee. You should know the teams down 3-2 in the NBA Finals go on to win the series only 19% of the time. That means of the 47 teams to enter a Game 6 down 3-2, only 9 of them have become champions. The most recent, the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Warriors in 2016. If only we had someone on our show who was on that team. Oh, yes. Richard Jefferson was on that team, and he is in Milwaukee today. And here's where I want to begin, RJ. A week ago, as we just pointed out, the Bucks were on the brink. On the other side, they were down 2-0. The Suns seemed really comfortable. How did we get in a week's time from there to here?
Look, everybody has been wondering that question, because ultimately what the Bucks have done is they have just continued being so gritty. Look, they were down 2-0 to the Nets. In Game 1, that was the first game that Giannis had played in a week. And so it wasn't even the best version of him. So if you look at that, then you're like, hey, maybe this series would have been a little bit different if Giannis would have came into it healthy.
And that's exactly right. I mean, we forget because everything seems so long ago that we didn't even know if Giannis would play in this series before it began. So speaking of him, he has made huge plays on the defensive end. He's had signature plays on the offensive end in several enormous games. If he wins this thing tomorrow night, what will this playoff run have meant for Giannis's legacy?
It's going to mean so much for him because he did it the most difficult way, to do it where you got drafted, to do it in a small market, to build to build from within. When you look at bringing in Chris Middleton and then going and getting the right pieces, going and giving the farm to get Drew Holiday. So it's not even just Giannis. You want to give a compliment to the Bucks organization, to the fan base, but really the fact that Giannis did it the hardest way possible, that not a lot of guys do, that it's a very special opportunity and a special championship if they're able to finish it off.
And how about this performance in particular through 5 games so far? You've played with and against some of the greatest players in NBA history in the finals: Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. How would you stack up what we've seen from Giannis in these 5 games in terms of what you've seen in your career?
Impressive, but expected. right? Like he is a person that is so talented that when you put him on the floor, even on an average day, he's going to have 25 and 15. So, you know, for him to raise his level, which he has done, getting multiple 40-point games, having games where he shoots the ball well from the free throw line, making defensive plays, making offensive plays. When you look at all of the greatest players in history, and Giannis is up there, 2-time MVP, one of 3 players to win the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. All of these awards, he's doing what those awards show, right? Michael Jordan with the steal and the game-winning shot, like all of these things that you see from great players, and Giannis is a part of that group.
Look, he's one win away from being a 26-year-old 2-time MVP and finals MVP, which he certainly figures to be.